So in the previous video, we got the Gustav Becker on the test stand and it wouldn't run. So we're going to do open heart surgery on the escapement. That's at least what I'm calling it. And also I'm going to get the flywheel and I'm going to get that to attach so that the hammer actually goes at a normal speed. So here we go. First thing we got to do is get the power taken out of the trains. Got to get the bridge off. Got the front lever off. We're not taking the whole clock apart. We're just going to get the escapement wheel out and the flywheel. Flywheel out. Got the escapement out. So I'm looking at it. I don't see any bends. I don't see any wear on the tip of the teeth. And on the pinions, I don't see any issues really at all. For this little fan for the flywheel, boom, that's solid. Got the flywheel fixed. So this is the recoil escapement, and this goes back and forth on these teeth. And that's where you get the ticking sound. That's why they call it the heartbeat of the clock, and why I made the suggestion that we're doing open heart surgery, even though that sounds ridiculous. But as far as the clock goes, this pretty much is open heart surgery. My dad turned on the ultrasonic cleaner. You don't want to hear that noise on audio. It's pretty rough. So I'm going to talk through this part and tell you what I'm doing and why. So the recoil mechanism was bent out of shape. My father bent it back the best he could. That wasn't going to do good enough for functioning for the heartbeat of the clock on that escapement wheel. So what I ended up doing after my dad bent the recoil mechanism the best he could back to normal shape. So I take this Dremel tool with the diamond blade on it, and all I'm doing is using the outside of it to grind it into the shape it's supposed to be so it will work properly on the escapement wheel. This was very touch and go. I took it very slowly, and it came out great. 7,000 grit. The teeth may not have needed this, but we just wanted to make sure that there weren't any issues with the escapement wheel, even though it looked pretty good. So we grinded down the escapement wheel on the outside just a little bit, just to give us peace of mind. So we got our verge looking like new. Time for me to get this back in the movement. Time side in, spin it nice. Stop wheel's in a good spot. Now I have to put that front lever in. Front lever to test for the warning. The warning, it just barely lifts the lever. I've got to advance it a little. I almost got it though. It comes into contact. I don't know if that's enough to stop it. It's weird how you can make an adjustment and you're moving a wheel like halfway and then you put it back together and it's like the wheel barely moved anywhere. All right, so we got it functioning great. It's good to go. Next, we're going to put the verge and the crutch back on in the back. So I finally get this thing put back together. What I'm doing now is actually really important. I'm watching it go back and forth over those teeth, bouncing back and forth, the tick-tock noise you would hear. And I'm just verifying that what we did to that recoil mechanism is actually going to work. So we just bent the back of the crutch here so that this pendulum leader hanging from the suspension spring so it wasn't rubbing to take away some friction. So if you know clocks, you know what I'm going to be talking about. If not, I got to show you a little bit. This is the hour pipe right here, and underneath it is a little cam wheel. You see those little teeth down there? And that pushes this, which lifts up this lever, which in turn lifts this lever in here. Now this lever in here, this little bar comes out and connects this front lever. This little lever right here, I'm going to bend it up that hopefully this lever then is able to get to the warning wheel, which is up here. It raises, there's a little pin that this lever is able to catch it up here. If it can't catch it, this thing's just going to run wild. This lever has got to come up. Here we go with bending things. I'm not going to lie, this is a little terrifying. All right, let's test it. Still got the same problem. Wait a second. Dad, no wonder it's running like crazy. The pin came out of the warning wheel.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Found a problem. So we got our heartbeat issue fixed. I'm pretty sure. It's running. It hasn't stopped for a little bit. That was probably an issue with the verge up top going on the escapement wheel, and then also the crutch on the back was causing issues with friction, and then we also had to speed the clock up by raising that nut up and bringing the weight up, and that actually was allowing it to go faster. The heartbeat issue and getting it to actually run seems fixed. But now, hey, if you were just watching, the pin came out of the warning wheel, and we've got to replace that. So I get to take it apart again. So this suspension spring, we're going to replace for this one on the right here. And the only difference is this one is about 1.5 millimeters longer between the two holes. And then also the suspension spring is 0.01 millimeters thinner on this right one. So we're hoping that's going to let the pendulum swing a little bit more. New suspension spring installed. So we got it powered down. Now we're going to take out the warning wheel up here, this top one, so that we can get that pin back in the wheel. You can see this little dark spot right there. That's a tiny little hole where the pin fell out. Now we're going to have to get it to size, and instead of pressure fitting it, I'll probably take a punch on the back and punch it so that it flattened and spreads out on the inside.
Got the little punch right over this hole. I'm just going to tap it. That closed that brass a little bit around that hole, and it should, when you put that steel in there, should give you a better pressure fit.
Yeah, you closed it all right.
It won't go in. Is it going in the hole?
The one side, it started, but it doesn't want to go all the way.
All right, look here. See, I have these pliers made so I can support this bottom part, and then with this slot here, I can get in between it. And then what I'm going to do is squeeze. It's not going to push on this pin at all, but what it's going to do is kind of squeeze on that brass that's around that edge. It's in there really good.
So we got our pin installed. So we got to clip it. Oh, there we go. I think that's just a little too long.
I thought it had come off that clock.
Pin installed. Yep, that's going to clear the plate. That pin we replaced is right here at the top, and it's going to spin, and it's going to get stopped by this lever right here. When it raises to go into warning, that's going to stop. And then when this drops, when it hits the hour mark or that 30-minute mark, then the hammers will be able to drop and go. Yeah, we did it. All right. Clock is perfectly adjusted, good to go. We're going to get it all put back together and back on the test stand. One really good thing is that this pendulum leader and the crutch, it's moving on its own. It wasn't doing that the first time we put it on the test stand. So that's a really good sign that it's running strong. So we switched to this other suspension spring. The length, I was thinking maybe that might help with the swing. And the reason we were concerned about this pendulum swing was because before it was moving maybe half of this. It was a lot less. And we were worried that when the clock was getting powered down and the spring wasn't as strong for the time train, that this wouldn't have enough momentum to keep the clock going. So we wanted a little bit more swing. Right now it's looking great. So I think we got it. I think this clock is complete. As far as mechanically functioning properly, I think it's good. You should tell Cradle you know how to make hot pot. We have the Frankenstein of test stands here. Using all these clamps to hold it down securely. We blued that steel. Blue steel, baby. If you know, you know. Adds a erosion resistance, protects it from rust by oxidizing, but it gets this really good color. So instead of painting it, we decided to blue steel. Now I just got to get it set to time and let it go. So this is about 7:05. Got it going off the flip clock right here. All right, so that's everything for the day. This has been a 2-3 day project on this video. Well, after cleaning all the plates, polishing everything, fixing the suspension bridge, replacing the suspension bridge, I've lost count now of how many adjustments we've made, bluing the steel for the minute and hour hand, bending the lifting arm that sets the clock to strike, putting a pin back in the warning wheel. This clock has been a real project. There's been a lot of stuff. We'll keep watching it and keep check on it, and then we'll put it in the clock case. Bye.